Hi everyone, this is Nori from StudyIn Japan. Today we're going to be talking about 3 different kinds of visas that you can come to Japan to study Japanese with. For the 3 visas, we've divided it up into 7 categories to talk about. So the first thing that we'll be talking about is the student visa. The student visa allows you to study up to 2 years at a Japanese language school. If you're looking to go to a university or a vocational school in Japan, then the student visa will be issued for the length of the course. So university, 4 years, vocational school, maybe 2 to 3 years. So this 2 years is the maximum amount of time that you can stay at a Japanese language school on a student visa. Next, we're talking about study and work. Of course, the student visa, you can study and you can work part-time for up to 28 hours a week whilst you study. For long periods of holidays, you can work up to 40 hours a week. So as for the extension, perfectly possible. So what I mean by extension is whether the visa is extendable or not in Japan. So say that you come to Japan to learn Japanese for a year, but at the end of it, you feel like you need 1 more year to build on your Japanese skills. Then you can choose to extend your visa for another year so you get the maximum of 2 years. And of course, after the Japanese language school, if you choose to go to a university or a vocational school, then you can extend the period of your student visa for another 4 years or 2 or 3 more years if it's a vocational school. Now, as for the process, it takes about 4 to 6 months for the whole student visa process to be completed. First of all, you need to find and secure a place at a Japanese language school in Japan, and once you've done that, you'll fill in a long-term application form provided by the school. And also, you'll need to gather some important documents to go with the application form as evidence, such as your high school diploma or your passport scans. The more detailed version of this process will be explained in another video, so please stay tuned. As for the age group, it's 18+. As part of the student visa requirement, you need to have completed the 12 years of compulsory education, so primary school all the way up to high school. For that reason, it's 18+. The enrollment timings for long-term programs with the student visa are set to 4 times a year. So that's January, April, July and October. This is already set by the immigration office and this happens every year. Moving on to the short-term course. So for the short-term visa, otherwise known as a tourist visa, you can stay in Japan up to 3 months. And during this time, you can study, but you can't work. And the reason for this is because you're basically coming as a tourist, using your passport without applying for an additional visa. You can study whilst you're on holiday, but you can't work. And there's no extension. There are countries that require a visa, or you can just come with a passport. So if you're coming from a country that does need to apply for a visa, then you're looking at maybe 5 or 7 days for the visa to go through. There aren't any age restrictions in terms of the short-term visa, so all ages can come at any time. This short-term visa is highly recommended, especially for those who haven't been to Japan before. So it gives you an opportunity to kind of experience Japan for what it is, see what it's like to study and live here, and also learn a bit about the Japanese language and culture as well. As for the working holiday visa, you can stay in Japan up to a year. With this, you can of course study and you can also work, but without the restrictions of 28 hours a week. This is a great visa to mix and match the work and the study. For example, you could study Japanese for the first 6 months and experience what it's like to work in Japan for the rest of the year. As for the extension, this is talking about after the working holiday visa is over. But with a working holiday visa, it's only up to a year, so you can't extend visa for another year or so. If you're looking to change it to a student visa, depending on the country, you might be able to do this in Japan, or you might have to leave the country once to do so. As for the process, all you need to do is go to your local Japanese embassy and it should only take around a week for them to process it. There are only a limited number of spaces with the working holiday visa and you have to be between the ages of 18 to 30 to apply. But once you've obtained the visa, you can literally go anytime. So just to summarize, the student visa is more for people who want to really study Japanese and looking to go to higher education or maybe full-time employment afterwards. The short-term visa is more for people who've never been to Japan before and want to see what it's like to live in Japan and also gain a bit of knowledge on the language and the culture. And lastly, the working holiday visa. This is more for people who aren't so interested in the studying aspect, but more about Japan itself or living and working in Japan. So this is it for today, and as I said before, we'll be going over the 3 visas in more detail in another video, so please stay tuned. In this channel, we'll be providing more detailed and easy to understand information about studying abroad in Japan. So if you like what we're talking about, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. See you again soon. Janet. So with the extension, what we're talking about here is the smiley face. Just kidding.